Hello, my name is Louie, if you're new here. A couple years ago, I decided to make a pact with myself and live a life that is uniquely my own. After participating in expensive rental housing and jobs that really made me unhappy, the normal story for most people these days, I decided to take a leap with a small amount of savings and hit the road and record my whole journey in hopes of inspiring you guys and being able to support it. I'm just so grateful for all of the memories I've been able to make and this beautiful community that is being built. It has been so inspiring for me to share my unusual life with you and see how it's inspired some of you guys to get out there and live your own unique adventures. This past year has been a doozy, to say the least, and I've been going back to look at some of the footage from the past year and getting really nostalgic about it. So I decided to make a recap video of this past year to kind of help myself process it and share it with you guys in order to help kind of turn the metaphorical page into 2022. We started off 2021 getting used to an entirely new biome with animals that we had never seen before. Our goal for the first part of the year was to travel south because we wanted to see a part of this country that we seemed to have some stereotypical ideas about. We wanted to form our own opinions about what the southern USA is really about. We started by making our way through the rest of Texas. At the time we were doing a yoga challenge, so every stop along the way to Louisiana was full of yoga and yummy food. Some of our family hails from this region because of slavery, so we made it a point to stop at the Whitney Plantation, the only plantation to highlight the lives of the enslaved on our way through. It was truly an emotional experience for us, and it was really great to tour a plantation that felt a little more settled and learn some history that we were unaware of, like the German Coast Uprising of 1811. Then after learning about the history and culture of the Creole and Cajun, we finally made it to a stop that we had been looking forward to a lot, the Big Easy. The first stop we made was to get beignets, of course. I haven't seen many people van life road tripping the south here on YouTube, and to be honest, part of me sort of understands. There isn't as much public land in this region, so it makes for a different type of van life travel. We spent many nights camped out at Walmarts and Cracker Barrels, but when we were able to get to a more remote camping spot, we were really in for a treat. We explored the swamps of Florida and a forest in Mississippi. We also got to visit Everglades National and drive down to the Florida Keys. To be honest, we were having sort of a hard time in Florida, having a total of 3 interactions with cops and getting kicked out of several stealth camping spots, so we moved on to go north to our last stop in Florida, St. Augustine. We got to visit our friend Angie before we left the state. Then we stealth camped in Savannah for a week in the same spot, parked right in the middle of the city, as well as visit the very historic city of Charleston. We were able to learn a little bit about the history of the Gullah Geechee, which was something that I had never learned about in school. Our last main stop in the south was to visit our family in Atlanta, Georgia. Boy, that was a good time. It was really nice to even meet family members I have never met before. April, May, and June were months that were marked by big transitions. I had to say goodbye to my lovely van Coco after a year. I was getting tired of spending money to fix her mechanics, as I was already saving up to buy my dream overlanding vehicle, a Jeep Wrangler. I needed something more reliable, so I went ahead and pulled the band-aid off and went ahead with my plan. Then we had to book our way back to California to register it and take care of some other pressing matters. That didn't stop us from having fun on the way back west. As we traversed the desert, I tent camped along the way and learned even more about how little you need to travel on the road, and we got to try out our first off-road trail in Death Valley. There was a secret that we had been keeping from everybody, and that was the announcement of our plans to move to Alaska. We were unable to drive through Canada, so it had us spending some lackadaisical days in the PNW exploring and waiting to take the well-known Matanuska ferry to our new home. Being in the forest again felt really good. We met up with a patron and their dog Molly, as well as our friend Sol. We spent so many weeks as the weather changed from late winter to spring in the mountains. Once on the ferry, it set in how wild of an idea buying land sight unseen was. We were awestruck by the immense beauty of the inside passage, and then, after 48 hours, we finally made it to the island. The months of July, August, and September were filled with days exploring our new home, exploring and surveying the land, designing a trail and prepping it, hiking, and just getting acquainted with a completely new place. When we arrived, we had our eyes wide open and were annoyingly optimistic. I can say we were pretty overwhelmed at the beginning, but as we got used to the culture of Southeast Alaska and its wonderful easygoingness, our attitudes about the property really changed. Why were we in a rush in the first place? We had surveyed the property and we're in a place that we had really wanted to be. So thankfully we were offered a cabin to rent, and we began the process of finding someone to contract with to build a driveway or a parking pad. And to be honest, we still don't have an estimate or an answer about what we're gonna do. But I'm not so worried and stressed about it anymore. And so is my mom, I think. We're just so grateful that we are witnessing the seasons change and are getting to know the people and the way of life here. The land will be developed with time, and I'm not in a rush. This was a really good lesson to learn, that not everything has to move fast like an HGTV house building series. It really reminded me to be more present and go with the flow, because you are always where you are meant to be when you are meant to be there. I'm really so glad that we stayed in Alaska to experience winter. We both weren't ready to get back on the road when our day to take the ferry south came. We were both just so exhausted from road travel and living out of tight spaces. We truly needed a break and a moment to not be traveling or working on a big project. Turns out we got a record-breaking snowfall year of over 40 inches of snow than the normal 7 for the month of December, and a total of 67 inches of snow for the months of November and December. Guys, we got our first dusting of snow. It's just kind of icy. Everybody talks about how dark Alaska can be in the winter, and to be honest, minus needing to sit in front of the sun lamp and take vitamin D, the darker nights have been something I have been welcoming with open arms because of my deep need and desire to settle in and hibernate while I reflect on the past few years and what I want for the future, and just really to rest. Don't get me wrong, there have been tough moments, but there's something about the snow dampening sounds and how desolate the nights are that have been extremely healing and inspiring. Our nights have been filled with cooking and eating, hobbies, and just allowing ourselves to indulge in things like movies and videos. Also meeting some new friends and spending time getting to know people has really been something that I didn't realize I needed after having been so isolated, partly because of being on the road all the time and because of the pandemic. I feel like I have my old social skills back. It was really kind of outlandish, ballsy, and maybe even arrogant to romanticize a place and decide to just up and move to a small town where we knew little about the flora, fauna, people, region, and economy. But I have to say that something really just feels right about here. I feel so very privileged to have found this place. I can't really describe it with words, but when you know you've found where you belong, you will just know it. This brings us to where we are now. Comment down below what part of the journey you joined on to this channel and what your own personal favorite memories from your own year are. I am just so grateful for all of the beautiful people that we have met digitally and in real life in this past year, and I'm so excited about the adventures that are to come in 2022. I might be driving my Jeep like way more, like way more. So happy New Year everybody, and don't forget to get out there. Try something new that you maybe have been afraid to do, no matter how big or small the adventure might seem to you. A special thanks to my patrons and an extra special thank you to the following people. You all have helped to make these wonderful memories happen and have been such a great support, not only monetarily, but in times where I have felt uncertain about life. Thank you from the bottom of my heart.